Well, hello. We're visiting with the KMS team in Westport, Connecticut. You know, most teams are led by an individual or a partner, and it's a hierarchical order underneath of them. This is not the case with KMS. They are a partnership-based team, which is quite unusual, and I hope you enjoy this interview. Well, welcome. I'm here with 6 lovely ladies in Westport, Connecticut. Some of them are old dear friends and some of them are new dear friends. But I'm with KMS, which is one of the top performing teams in the state of Connecticut. And my connection to KMS is through my friend Lori Morris. So Lori, how did we meet?
We met a very long time ago. We were both brunettes. It was about 30 years ago, I think, and we were part of a group that was called the Big Apple Group. We both were working for Coldwell Banker. Patrick was actually in the city with an affiliate, Hunt Kennedy at the time. It was an affiliate of Coldwell Banker. And we were in a referral group called the Big Apple, which was a tri-state referral group made up of, I think, Patrick, it was like 25, 30 people. We covered Westchester County, we covered all of New Jersey, Connecticut primarily, Fairfield County, and Patrick covered, being the Superman that he is, all of Manhattan and the other boroughs. It was a very successful group from both a business perspective and a personal perspective. We made good, lasting friendships over the years, and learned how the other areas did business. It was very different from here. I would definitely recommend that other people get involved in that other agents get involved in their own referral groups, especially for feeder towns. I think it's really important for your success.
Lori, tell us about your team.
KMS is a different kind of a team. We are actually a partnership made up of 8 partners. We didn't start out that way. We started out in 1999 with just 3 partners. And at that point in time, we shared income based on basically what you had, percentage-wise, based on what you had brought in the year before. As the group grew, it became harder to do that.
And we'll talk about that a little bit
Exactly.
a little bit later down the road. So KMS actually stands for the 3 original
The
partners.
3 original partners, Sheila Keenan, Lori Morris, and Wade Chabelle.
Awesome. So Susan, KMS stands for the 3 original founders. You also have a mantra that you use within your team that KMS implies.
Correct. So knowledgeable, meticulous, steadfast.
I would say that's a good descriptive of you all. What areas do you guys cover in Connecticut?
I would say lower Fairfield County, but we really concentrate on Westport, Weston, Fairfield, Norwalk, Easton, Reading. Sometimes we'll go into Darien and New Canaan, but we often will refer those towns. And Greenwich, we usually don't. Those towns seem to be very different, but the Weston, Westport, Fairfield, we have deep roots here. So
Yeah, and the buyer for Greenwich is so different from the buyer
Correct.
for Westport.
Correct. And in fact, I think one of us recently referred someone to Greenwich. It's just not our market. So we just really don't try to cover the markets we don't understand that well.
It's fascinating how it's so different. Like, I could see myself living in Westport. I couldn't see myself living in Greenwich. I also couldn't afford it. So Susan, your team is a partner-based team, which is very different from most teams in that most teams are rainmaker-driven, where there's 1 or 2 people that run the team and then they generate leads and they tell everybody else what to do. That's not the case with KMS.
Correct.
So there's some strengths and weaknesses to having a partnership-based team. Let's talk about the strengths. What are some of them?
The strengths, I think, are, first of all, I can't even imagine not being on this team. I started out in real estate on this team, and I'm still here almost 20 years later. The strengths are that We are all equal partners. We come with different spheres, with different knowledge bases. We are actually friends. There's always someone to back us up, if we have to be away. We pool our marketing budget. We feel like we are just better as a group than as an individual. And I think we can offer our clients so much more because of that.
Yeah, I would think like some of you have different expertises, and that
Correct.
when you, Susan, are going to land an exclusive where Kim is stronger in that type of product, you can go, hey, help me with this.
Yes.
What do you think I need to be talking about?
Yes, and we also are really helpful in pricing. If we have a listing and we're like, oh, we don't know, it's a little complicated, we get us all in there and we give our opinions. It's like a built-in pricing analysis from, 6, 8 people, whoever can be there.
When you say you get a new listing, you're not sure of the pricing. Do you bring the entire team in to view it?
Pretty much.
Yes.
Unless it's something very specific or we feel like the client can't handle, 6 or 8 of us coming through, and we all get that. We're not going to all be involved in everything. It would be impossible. And so, Kim has been very knowledgeable about the new construction, luxury buildings, condos, so she would be a great person to bring in, if I was going after something like that. Michael's great with antiques, so we all have our sort of expertise.
Antiques as in old buyers and sellers?
That too. That too.
All right, so what are some of the weaknesses of a partnership-based team?
So I really was thinking about this, and I feel like the only weakness is that sometimes when we have to make a decision on something, because we're all equal.
It's harder to come to a
Sometimes
conclusion.
a little bit harder, but we have gotten better and better about that over the years because we just can't keep wasting time and going around and around on it. Kathy is actually our team manager, and she really reels us in. And we've come to the conclusion that it has to be the majority rules. Not everyone's going to be perfectly happy with every decision, and that's just the way it is. Like in a family, you got to go with the flow.
It sounds to me like you have a family here that's actually functional and not a dysfunctional family.
Yes, we are.
And if it wasn't the case, I think a partnership-based team would be a little difficult.
Right.
2 of the partners weren't available for today's interview, Michael Mombello and David Weber. It's interesting when you look at the MBTI of each member. 7 of the 8 partners are extroverted feelers, which is highly unusual, and they're always going to be looking for harmony within the group. That's one of the most important assets to an extroverted feeler, and it's one reason that I feel that they are so successful.
We all really like each other. We're friends too, so that's pretty huge.
That's not what Laurie said.
And I think we're very careful about who we bring into the partnership.
Well,
Also.
that goes to my next question for Karen. How do you bring in new partners or associates?
Yeah, so there's no model for how we do it. I think we would all agree with that. It's really more of a feeling. I'm the last partner to join the team, and that was almost 5 years ago, believe it or not. So you'll have to speak to them about how they got to me. But I was able to observe them. We worked together at Coldwell Banker. I was an individual agent. They were a team. So we got to know each other, and hopefully that was part of their decision to have me join them. But I think we have our eyes and ears always open. Our 2 most recent associates, one was a client of Kim's, who Kim had a great feeling about and was so spot on because she's been amazing. Another associate who joined the team was also someone we all knew from the office and had worked with a little bit, and another home run there. So then these are newer agents who we see the potential in them, and young. It's exactly. So we have to be mindful of keeping the demographic of our partnership current, and that's why these 2 are going to be great additions to the team.
That's interesting. So it seems to be more personality-based and performance-based in the market that, I liked doing a deal with that person. I would be happy to have them in our circle.
I think personality is so key for the reasons that Susan spoke about. For all this, it's we're a lot of strong personalities, but it's important that everybody's heard and everybody is on board with one another and supportive and collaborative, all the things that make a team successful.
I also like the idea that you bring in some young associates in that are newer to the business, but you see their potential and how well they might be able to form. You might get a low-end buyer that is younger and they're buying their first home that may or may not be somebody you want to really spend a lot of time with. You could then refer them to your associate and help them with it.
Absolutely.
It gives you, do you ever refer within your group?
Definitely. And we often collaborate within our group. So yes, the answer is yes.
So Mary Ellen, there are expenses with this group. How are they determined and paid? For example, you have a full-time team manager who's great. I really like Kathy. You guys make sure you keep her. She's really, really good, and she knows how to work with you guys because it's not easy. No, that's staying in. So, how do you deal with expenses?
So we meet regularly, but we'll meet at the end of the year. We'll look at our production. We'll figure out what worked well during the year, what we want to do, and we'll figure out what that's going to cost. We'll come up with a budget, and we'll determine how we're going to feed into our general account, and we will do this monthly in terms of paying out what needs to be to run the business. So we have an admin. We have had some social media expenses. We have marketing expenses. So we will reevaluate what we need to spend, and the partners put into a general account.
So is that split evenly among all partners?
Yes.
It's not based on production, it's just based on equal partnership.
Correct.
And then there'll be a dollar amount, and then that's put forward for the upcoming year?
Yep, and we'll pay into it quarterly or every other month, wherever we need money. So sometimes we will not be, something will come up that we say, oh, this is a good opportunity, we should, sponsor this. And then, well, that wasn't really in the budget, but we can justify why we should be putting that money towards it. So we'll say, cough up X, and that's how we run the business.
Are any expenses responsible for individual partners or associates that are not team expenses?
So if there's a particular listing that you might have, and we do have a budget for listing, we know what we're going to spend based on the price point for marketing, for photography, et cetera. But if you, as the individual listing agent, feel you need to spend more to do what needs to be done for the client, then that will come out of your pocket. So it's
Interesting.
It's really on an individual basis. But for the most part, we're pretty much working within our budget by listing.
Do all the partners have the same split with Compass?
Yes.
So that was negotiated by the team with Compass.
Correct.
And the associates, do they have varying rates of their, and then there's a profit, I would assume, that comes into the team, and then that profit is then split equally among all the partners?
Correct.
And then do you provide assistance to those associates
Yes,
to
we
help
do.
them when they're struggling?
We do, and luckily they don't really struggle. They've been wonderful additions to the team. But they will call each of us or text us individually about, I have a situation, can you help me with this? And all 8 of us will jump in equally to just help whenever they ask for help. Plus, we will try to do as much mentoring as we can. We do get caught up in our own business, and so sometimes we have to peel that back a little bit and say, hey, think that they need a little bit of guidance, or come out with me on tour, or do an open house with me, and we do what we can to try to grow their business and help them grow as individuals.
Have any associates become partners?
Yes, actually, the majority of us sitting here have. Kim, Karen, Susan, myself, and Michael. So that's 5 out of the current 8.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
Kim, your administrative help, your team manager, plus you also have a part-time person that works for the team, is 1.5 full-time people, which is one of the lowest I have ever seen on any team ever. What's the rationale behind that?
Well,
And don't come across to say we're cheap, because I don't want to hear
right.
that.
No, we're all very, very efficient. Right. We're good at our jobs. We are sometimes, I think, there are certain aspects of the business that are, quite frankly, easier to do yourself than to try and delegate, because you know the client and we know how to get it done, in the way that we like it to be done. Having said that,
I'm hearing control freak is what
Well,
I'm hearing.
I will also add to that, because we are all partners and we're all collaborative and we're all making these decisions together, there are those of us that, may want to pay towards another assistant.
That was my
but there are
next
those
question.
of us that do not. And I think that we just basically, we err on the lowest common denominator. We want everyone to feel financially comfortable. And
That's a good policy in
Yeah.
a lot of different group settings.
yeah.
Does anybody currently on the team have a personal assistant that they're paying for themselves?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
We
Yes.
do outsource a little bit of social media. A couple of us have had some personal social media, individual assistants, but
I was just going to mention one thing that Compass offers, which I don't know that any of us have taken advantage of. They offer a contract to close admin.
Transaction coordinator. Yeah.
Right, and it's more than we have a transaction coordinator that works for the office, and she does all the billing and the commissions, and she makes sure all of our stuff is in order to close documents. But Compass offers for a nominal fee a contract to close. So any of us at any time could hire that person for that particular listing. And I'm not sure that any of us have done that yet, but with all the new paperwork.
I'm gonna interject, and I'm gonna give you my opinion right now. So forgive me, ladies, but if you hire the transaction coordinator, whatever the second one was called, it frees you up to call more past clients, to lead generate, to be out in the public more, to generate leads. It frees you up to do what you do best, which is selling real estate. And, putting a listing into an MLS is not going to generate you more business. So that's my two
I'll also add, and I don't disagree. I definitely agree with that. There's one other sort of piece to the puzzle, which is that Compass does provide more than just a paid transaction coordinator. Compass has full-time employees that are there and available in the office to help us with whatever we need help with.
Which is great.
So Kathy, while she's our full-time admin, she can rely on the paid Compass admins and delegate some of her work to them. So I would say, have more than 1.5 full-time people.
Okay, that's fair. Karen, this leads up to the next question where everybody's expressing an opinion. How are team decisions made? We alluded to it in the past, but how are they actually made?
I would say it's often a large discussion amongst everyone, and really it's the majority. At the end of the day, I don't know who said it earlier, one or two may not agree with what the final decision is, but if that's the consensus, we accept it and we move on.
So is consensus like 6 out of 8? Is it 5 out of 8?
Again, it's not so cut and dry. I would say it's the majority, so maybe 5 out of 8, but that's often not the case, honestly. We pretty much see things the same way, and depending on the topic, there may be one or two, as I said, who don't exactly agree, and I'd say it's no more than that. Would you guys agree? And then that's, you agree to disagree on that.
And how do you handle conflict within the group? Because there's, in any family, or at least my family, in any family there's going to be conflict. How do you handle that?
Well, I mean, conflict is a strong word. I would say, come to sit in on a Monday morning meeting and you'll see. But as I said, I mean this, we do end up getting the result that we want. And again, you may not be happy with how it is handled or how, the end result, but it's, for whatever reason, it's the right decision for that topic or that conflict.
I would say we handle conflict respectfully and collaboratively. We may not agree with one another, but we respect each other's opinions, and we are in a larger team, and not everything is going to go the way one of us may feel like it should.
Which is a sign of a functional family
Yes,
versus a dysfunctional
It's
family.
called compromise.
I hate that word. My boyfriend's the videographer. Hi, Rob. All right. What happens? I'm going to just throw out an example. What happens if two of you, because this is not the biggest town in the world. What happens if two of you are pitching the same listing or the same buyer?
I can speak to the listing part of that. I've partnered with Kim, Karen, Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen and I was a direct. We were both competing for the same listing, unbeknownst to us. That sort of just happened. We were each referred to this seller by different people, and we just collaborated. So we co-listed
Did a 50-50?
Yeah, we just co-listed it. It was great, and I think within the team that's done often. Karen and I did it on another. I can't remember how that ended. That was Foxfire. And then we did it in Saugatuck Shores. So honestly, that's not an issue. And I think if any of
And
us...
same thing, how about it in a buyer situation, especially with all the buyer roles, which we don't know the answers to anything yet. But, there's going to be a lot of one-time exclusives for buyer showings coming up. That's going to increase more now. And I could see, I guess we haven't really run into that, but it sounds like you guys will just figure out a way to maybe work with them both. So Karen has a $5 million listing pitch in about 15 minutes, and she needs to get over there. So Karen, thank you for participating.
Thank you for having me.
Susan, your team is number 3 in the state of Connecticut. Clearly, you guys are doing something really well. What are the keys to the team's success?
So I think the keys are that we are all hardworking full-time agents, for one thing. This is not a part-time job for us. We are in it all the way. We have an excellent reputation, I think, with our clients and with other agents. I think other agents like to work with us. They know we're good at what we do. They know we can get a client to the closing table. I think we all approach our business and the business in the same way. I think we all feel very strongly that our clients come first. We're never the team or the individual to talk someone into something they don't want to buy. In fact, we often joke about how we're always talking our clients out of buying certain listings. And we don't try to buy listings. We try to go in with a realistic price. We're not that agent that's going to say to someone, oh, you can get 10 million when we know they may get 8. I think we're all just very honest. We like each other, we work together, we collaborate, and it works.
Yeah, it feels like you guys are looking towards the long term and never the short term. And to me, that's a difference of true integrity and not having integrity. Karen, how do you generate leads?
Very good question. We don't pay for leads. I'll start out with that. We do not pay for Zillow or any of the other third-party vendors that call us and contact us continuously. And we're proud of that because we generate leads in an organic manner. We all live and work in the towns. We are involved in the towns. We're extremely philanthropic, individually and as a team. And it's genuine. We don't try to be something that we're not. And early on in my career, thank you, Lori Morris, I was mentored and taught that be genuine, get involved in the things that you enjoy and you love, and let everybody know you are a top producing realtor, and give them the confidence to choose and work with you. And that's how it works.
So it's about getting in front of people and being honest, being a good consult. And have you ever gone to a cocktail party and somebody didn't want to hear the newest real estate story? It's always a good topic of conversation.
Yeah, we call it real estate porn.
Yes.
Because it's so addictive and people love it. And for us, I think as a group, we just say, bring it on. We'll talk about real estate all day long. And our leads are generated organically. We are all referred by our current clients, future clients, friends of friends, relatives.
What are you doing to stay in contact with those clients so that you can generate these referrals from them?
Another great question. I would say probably one of our consistent team-oriented avenue is our monthly newsletter, and we also send out a calendar of events in the town monthly. And Kathy helps generate those. We brainstorm on all the topics, and it's genuine, again.
So to the members of our top agents community, we'll be providing them with an example of their newsletter and their calendar of events that you'll be able to look at and see if you want to incorporate that into your own business.
Yes, it's extremely effective. People look forward to it. It's not a boilerplate template. It's genuine. It's real. It's
interesting you
current.
say that because plated newsletters, you know what's coming next each month and you don't even read them anymore.
Exactly.
But if you're mixing it up and coming from the heart, which I think that's what you're saying, it's a totally different response.
It is, and we are complimented on it continuously, so it's probably one of the top means that we all consistently do. I know a number of us do other things throughout the course of the year, whether it be quarterly or not.
Do you guys do direct mail?
Yes, we do. And some of us, like I said, we do it quarterly. We do it with properties. I can't say we have a lead generation program, but everything we do is our lead generation.
They're individual.
Exactly.
It's all individual. Karen, if a lead comes in from an outside source, not to a specific partner or associate, how's it distributed?
Another great question. We have worked on this, and I think we finally came to what's fair. We pride ourselves on being fair among all the partners and associates. And what we do is every month, a partner is on lead. And we answer the phones that come in, we answer the emails that come in, and if a direct lead or a random lead comes in, that person is in charge of that lead. If they want to take it on themselves because they're the best suited for it, they do. If they think it's better suited with another individual on the team, it's their call. And then you are paid at the end of the transaction a greater part of the commission, and then the remaining part is split among all the other partners.
What are some other things that you do marketing-wise that are team marketing pieces?
Twice a year, we gift our clients. We do it around the holidays in November, December, and then we do it again in the summer, right around Memorial Day weekend. And the topics are a little different on what the gifts are. For the summer, it's something about celebrate summer, splash for summer, something fun and lighthearted to remind the clients that we're here. And then in the holidays, at the end of the year, it's somewhat more like a thank you for your...
Approximate cost of those gifts?
I would say anywhere between $25 to $40 a piece.
And since they're going to specific clients, does the actual partner pay for the client gift? Because they
Yes.
could have many more clients than somebody
Exactly.
else.
Yes. And, most of our gifts are bought in bulk, so we do save on that. And then we figure out how many each partner or associate is gifting, and we all pitch into that expense account accordingly.
So Mary Ellen, I hear you guys are really good party givers. Talk to me about that.
Sure. Well, we always love to have a good time. So let's start with that. So each year we will have a client party, and we will pick a venue that makes sense based on what's kind of going on in our marketplace. For instance, we have been for years a supporter of the Wakeman Town Farm. It's a farm here in town, supported by the town. It's a not-for-profit. We've been contributed to it. We actually volunteer at it. We also used it as a venue to have our client party. It was fabulous. It was outdoor at night, under the lights, beautiful night in early October. It was a hit. So we'll invite our clients to participate in things like that. We'll also participate in other events that are going on around town. We have an Oktoberfest in the middle of downtown Westport. They shut down the streets. There's beer vendors. We'll have a table there, and it's good marketing for us. We get to mingle with the people who are coming to drink beer, have a hot dog, and let them know that we're in the real estate business.
Would you please let Rob and I know that, because I think we would like to be one of your clients then. Talk to me about your social media presence.
We have struggled with this concept because social media comes easier and more natural to some of us and not everyone. So again, it's one of those topics that we collaborate on to try to figure out what will work best. For approximately the past 2 years, we've hired a social media consultant, someone to do our posting, to help us with content and get it online. And we've had changes to that. It's give and take all the time. There are some of us on the team that will do a little bit more on their own pages for Instagram, Facebook, et cetera, because they're more comfortable at it. And others of us are not as comfortable with it. But there is a presence for the team. We try to be consistent. A couple of years ago, we went through a major branding overhaul, and part of that was the social media component. And it has definitely helped. There's a consistent look. There's a template of sorts, not to use that word again, but it really helps with the font, the color, the message that we're trying to get across.
And I was talking to Susan earlier, and she was saying that, which is a good point for those of you that are uncomfortable about being on video, that the more you do it, it just gets easier.
It does, and having someone genuinely across the table helps too, to
Yeah.
bring out the best of us.
Which is a good key. So if
Sure.
you're doing something for Instagram or Facebook, have somebody ask you the questions, and then you can respond as in a format that you're used to. Now, we've been doing a little soft issues. Let me give you a hard one. How does the team, how do you measure your metrics? How do you figure out how you guys are doing?
That's a great question. So depends on the component of the business. For instance, we will look obviously at our overall market share, our transactions year over year, where our business is kind of shifting to or from. But this is a very fluid business, and someone can have a great year one year, and next year it's not so great, right? That's just the nature of the business. The Compass platform allows for a lot of digital advertising, and they have great insight data for us to go back and look at how our listings are doing from a digital ad perspective. Also through our social media consultant, we've been able to get feedback on how our posts are doing. And we meet probably every other month and go through the analytics of that, new followers, what's organic, what's working, what's not, and we try to make changes and anticipate where we should make a move in terms of more posting, more reels, et cetera.
I like that. I think that's great because it makes you need to be held accountable
Right.
some way, and this is, numbers don't lie. Susan, what's the team's general approach to sales?
So what's so great about us, I think, is that we all have a very similar approach to sales, and buyers and sellers. Again, like buyers, we never want them to buy something that they're not comfortable with. For us, it's not transactional, it's a relationship.
And I'm going to say to our audience right now, that's how you develop trust.
Right.
When you are looking out for the best interest of your client and not your short-term best interest, and you say, these are the problems with it, if you want to buy it, fine, but let me tell you where I see there's some headaches,
Yes.
they're going to trust you so much
Totally.
more.
I mean, I just had a client, the last 3 listings they brought to me, I was like, no, we're not even looking at that. It's not for you. You won't like it. There's this, there's that. Oh, thank you so much for saving the time. I'm not trying to make that quick sale, and none of us are doing that. And that's how we roll. We're always thinking about our clients first, because most of our business comes from those clients, referrals, people they know. That's most of our business. And like I said, it's relationship based, not transactional based. And for sellers, sort of the same thing. We don't try to go in there all like, yeah, we can get you all this money. We just don't do that. We're real. We bring stats. We're thoughtful. We have a lot of knowledge behind us, and I think people see that, and they're genuinely impressed with.
For me, that's you being a consultant versus a salesperson.
Yes.
And I feel like when you're consulting people, you feel better about yourself too.
Right. And we one of our taglines is, we partners for life. We're your real estate partners for life. You, your kids, your family, your friends. We want to be there for everyone.
Well said. So Kim, for you personally and also for the team, how do you improve your real estate skill set?
Well, I would say the Compass is a huge part of our real estate education. We've been here 5.5 years now, and the amount of education that they provide is really overwhelming. Quite frankly, we could be educated all day long. I have not missed a retreat. I enjoy the retreats. The retreats used to be once a year, and now they're having them actually more often and smaller format, which are more intimate. But that's a great way to create relationships with other agents and hear how other people are handling certain aspects of the business, and it's just very collaborative. Compass as a company is very, very forward thinking, but more than that, they have the agent as their client. They see the agent as their client. They're there to give us what we need to make our business more successful. And so I have frankly never had a coach. I see Compass as my coach. I see my teammates as my coaches. I see my clients as my coaches. I try to stay well read and up on current events and economics and world affairs. I think that's important in the real estate business. So I think that you have to be true to yourself, and I think Compass brings a ton to the table.
And I think you have to be curious.
You have to be curious.
I think that's one of the...
Everybody knows that I have this very, very this podcast that I'm a little bit obsessed with, and it is my source of information for a
And what's the
lot.
podcast?
It's called the All In Podcast, and it's for technology investors who came from Silicon Valley. That during COVID they created this. This is like now a shout out to you guys. They're amazing. They're so smart. They're very. They touch on every topic that's current, be it business or politics or economics or social. Even I would say, movies and television, pop culture. What is interesting about them is that they really bring different opinions to the table, and they encourage their listeners to come to their own opinion. So they're not. I feel like so much of the media that we read and listen to these days is very. You hear what you want to hear. This is them at least attempting to bring opposing sides.
A wider perspective.
A wider perspective.
I would like to give some recommendations to agents out there. What would you say are the most important activities for an agent to be successful?
I think you have to really engage in the community. You need to get involved. It's very important. Your relationships are really everything, but I think it's also important that agents realize that people don't hire you because you're their friend or because they know you. They hire you because there is something that they see in you that is either trustworthy or genuine, or they think you're smart, or they think that you've done something competent. I think that it's not a popularity contest. It's really about presenting yourself professionally and as a knowledgeable base.
Where would you recommend newer agents to spend their money in relation to building their business?
Mm-hmm. Well, I like to support my clients. I like to support causes that I believe in, organizations that I get involved with that I support financially, but also volunteer time or just attend events. I think that you have to. It's the best and most successful when it's authentic and it's genuine.
And you're passionate about it.
Enjoying
And
what you're
real,
doing. Yes,
it's a real thing that you believe in. Like, I know you're really involved in your temple, and that's something that you really believe in and are passionate about, and it must come through to you.
Yeah, my husband's from Israel, and I'm from South Africa.
So he has no personal space whatsoever.
No, so that's why I'm very. That's why, he's great. We love him. We love him. He's made me a better realtor. He's my biggest champion. So that's
You know,
helpful.
our first interview was with Sean Osher, who did just under $1 billion in sales last year, and he's from South Africa too.
Yeah.
So, and he's a Jew from South Africa.
Yeah.
So it's a good.
And there are a lot of
it's a
South
good
Africans
competition
in
'cause it's
Westport.
very-
Everyone knows that half of the people who are my clients are either relatives or relatives of relatives or friends of relatives' friends.
Cousins that I never know. Ever.
All right, Karen, what mistakes have you or the team made in the past that were really great learning lessons?
Yeah, we chuckle. I'm gonna, and I'm chuckling when I say this. In our quest to conquer social media, we all jumped on the Rolla bandwagon, and we all got the Rollas, and we subscribed to the subscriptions, and we were all going to learn how to do videos, and we were going
Excuse me for a second. I don't know what Rolla is.
You don't want to know.
Oh,
You can
We
have
didn't either.
you
We
can
still barely
you
do.
can have my Rolla apparatus.
okay.
It's really a device to teach us how to do videos, and you subscribe to it, and you send in your videos, and they edit them, and they make them
Got it.
fabulous and wonderful. And mine is still in the box, as are many of the others on the team. Hence why you can have it. And what we learned from that mistake is that we're not good at videos. Like you said, we're good at being realtors. So we hire people to do that now.
Smart. Whatever you don't have a passion for or you don't have an interest in, delegate. And then second, if you are doing it, find a way to have somebody else shoot it for you to make you feel comfortable so you can do a great video. And the other thing I want to say on this subject matter is being a first adapter when something new comes out is often a waste of time and money. Wait till somebody else in another office does it well, and then start it.
Right. That was
Yeah.
It was a mistake that we chuckle about, and we've moved on. I would say another mistake might be, and you have alluded to this a lot in our discussion today, is to not hire more support and help for us as a team.
I'm going to make a suggestion. You guys are going to have your end of year meeting coming up. I think you should bring me in and give you some suggestions on how to be a little bit more effective as a team.
Well, you know, it's very interesting because on one of the networking calls that all of us are involved in, one agent in particular, his victory for the year was he hired a chief of staff. And actually, Mary Ellen and I were on that call, and we started texting each other going, that's what we need, a chief of staff. And that's when we hired Kathy,
Who's great.
who's amazing. Beyond. And she didn't want to be called chief of staff, although we did want to give her that title. She wanted to be called team manager, and she's everything to us. She's the backbone of our team. So from maybe, let's call it a mistake of not realizing that earlier,
Right.
finally hearing it from a peer of ours and how it was a game changer with his team. Thank you, Roy. We adopted that, and it's been blissful. It's been amazing.
Awesome. I personally feel that mistakes and errors that you make is probably the greatest teaching lesson that you can
Absolutely.
have, and therefore the mistake is not a bad thing.
No.
It's in the overall big picture, it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
So KMS's average sales prices, I think, is just under $2 million per sale, which is, high for America. Is selling luxury properties different from selling normal properties?
I would answer that in two responses. Selling luxury properties and a lower price property, yes. Clients, a luxury client and a lower price property client, no.
Okay, so let's talk about the property then. So what are the differences?
Good question. What I find is each luxury property is unique, and it probably warrants a very particular, well thought out marketing plan. And it's not just marketing and advertising, it's also networking the property and actually looking for that buyer and representing the property in its best fashion, whatever that may be. Discretion comes into play oftentimes with luxury properties. So there's that balance of casting that wide net to feature the property in its best fashion, but also to provide the discretion that the seller may want in doing so. Because a lot of people in the luxury sphere don't want everybody knowing their business. So there's a balance in that. Most of our luxury properties that we list, they're individually curated with our marketing department as to what is best, and we go all out.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me. That brought up a question for me. Do you guys actually advertise in brick and mortar magazines or newspapers?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Compass puts out a phenomenal publication quarterly and then twice a year. The ultra luxury market is offered twice a year, and many of our listings have been included in that, as well as the curated, which comes out quarterly. One just came out.
How are
And
they distributed?
they're distributed not only to high wealth individuals, but they're also seen at private airports, private clubs.
And have you seen any leads come in from them?
I don't know if I can say individually. It's more recognition.
And it's also a great pitch for when you're getting a new listing.
Exactly. It's really, really a phenomenal publication. So that
And is there a cost to you from that, or does that come out of your marketing budget, or does Compass pay for
it
it?
comes out of our marketing
So
budget.
they do charge you for that. Okay, that's
Exactly.
that's what I wanted to know. So speaking of high sales, what's the highest sale KMS has ever done?
We like to say since joining Compass, so that's about 5.5 years ago, I would say our highest listing was actually an off-market listing, and that sold for $15 million.
And what'd you get for that?
Over $15 million.
No, I'm sorry. What did you get for the 15 million? Did you get like an
Oh.
acre and a half?
Oh, okay. It was. You didn't read about it in the Wall Street Journal? Just kidding. Actually, it was the highest price sale in Westport, and still to this day, off the water. It's a
really?
legacy property, high profile local residents here. Everybody knows them. It's their property, and it was actually sold to let's call her a big-time LA person.
Awesome.
It's a compound.
It's a compound.
7 acres.
Yes, compound, multiple buildings, a championship basketball court, gyms, studios, pools, bowling alley,
It's nice.
tennis court.
It's nice.
Yeah, and a little slice of heaven here in the middle of Westport. And
I want to ask the more important question.
Okay.
What's the lowest one
Okay.
your team has ever done?
Good question as well. I would say outside of our market a little bit, about $250,000.
And what do you get for $250,000?
A cute little cape.
Oh, well, okay. Okay, that seems fair.
Now, you can't get that in
Westport,
or
no.
Weston or even Fairfield, but if you go out a little bit further, you still have those
Oh,
options.
that's good. And that's nice that you guys are handling that. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kim, where do you see KMS in 5 years or 10 years?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a good question. I like to say, if I had a crystal ball, I would be able to answer that question, but I don't. Where I'd like to see it is in a thriving, as a thriving team that has, maybe even some people that we haven't met yet as part of it. We would like to hand over the reins at some point to the younger generation, and I think a big part of what I would personally like to do in the next 5 or 10 years is mentor those people, and have them be our brand ambassadors.
It's one of the nice things about this form of the partnership team is that, God forbid somebody dies, it's not the end of the team.
No.
There's always new partners coming in, and it has the ability to maintain a legacy and consistency and quality, and even provide some income for some partners if they're less involved down the road, which I think is a really good option. So let's hand over the mic to Lori. We started with Lori and we're going to end with Lori. And is there anything that you would like to promote for KMS?
I think I'd like to let everyone know that we are here in mid-Fairfield County covering the towns that we mentioned earlier, but I'll remind you, Westport, Weston, Fairfield, Easton, Reading, Wilton, Norwalk. We're available. We are not strictly luxury. We treat people who are first-time buyers at a lower than an average, let's say, sale in Westport. We treat them with kid gloves just like we do with our multi-million-dollar clients. And we really feel that we're here to help. The money follows, but the important thing is helping the people.
Yeah, if you do the work, you'll make the money. If you do the work and you have the right intentions, you'll make the money. So personally, I would like to thank all of you. This was a joy. I'd personally like to thank you for being such a dear friend for so many years, because it's been a long time. But I consider you all friends now, and thank you very much. Well, I hope you enjoyed this interview. I know I did. It's a very different type of team that could work for you too. If you enjoyed this session and would like to become a member of America's Top Agents, or would like to investigate my coaching or real estate services, either in New York City or the Hudson Valley, please go to patricklilly.com and all the information is there for you. Until next month.